Welcome back to Hardball. With 10 U.S. senators now stepping down this year, the fight for control of the Senate is very much up for grabs this November. A very important fact. And right now, how Democrats hold a razor-thin edge in the upper body, 53 to 47, including two independents who caucus with them. That's 53-47. But the Democrats are playing defense in a number of key races. Look at some of the toss-up races where much of the media's attention will be focused this summer. From west to east, Nevada, Montana, New Mexico, Missouri, Wisconsin, Florida, Virginia, and Massachusetts all have very competitive races, and all but two of them, Nevada and Massachusetts, are seats currently held by Democrats. We're going to take a close look now at 5 of those contests. Where do the Democrats stand their best chance to lose or to win, and where will Republicans possibly pick up some seats? Larry Sabato, of course, is director of the University of Virginia's Center for Politics. He joins us right now. And Shira Toeplitz is a staff writer for the great Roll Call. Let's start right now with the most interesting race, I think. The most recent poll from the Boston Globe rally up there in late March recently showed a very tight race between Scott Brown, the guy in the truck, and Elizabeth Warren, who wants to clean up Wall Street. They're in a dead heat. Larry, what's your call? How's that look?
Well, it's April, but I'll tell you the most important word, Chris, in the Senate vocabulary this year, coattail. Coattail. Who's going to win Massachusetts? We already know. It doesn't matter that Romney was governor. President Obama will win, I would say, 58, 60%, something like that in Massachusetts. That's a giant problem for Scott Brown, whatever the pre-election polls say. So I think Elizabeth Warren has a good chance to pick up that seat. What do you think? What do you think, Shira?
I agree. Yeah, I agree with Larry.
Because of the coattail effect of a dramatic Obama win up there.
Yeah, and I think Massachusetts is inherently a Democratic state. I think this will either be, if the unemployment rate is high, it'll be Scott Brown by a little bit, or come down to Elizabeth Warren by a lot.
I have one disagreement with you on that. I think Scott Brown is a pure, and I don't mean this positively, a pure politician. People can read that any way they want. I mean pure. This is what the guy's good at, getting votes. With that truck and that barber coat and that middle-class aspect of him, he's so smart at not being an elitist. Let's go to Virginia, your state, Larry Sabato. George Allen's coming back after the problem he had a while back. He lost 6 years ago. He was headed for the presidency. Now he's just trying to get his seat back against Tim Kaine, a popular, moderate, I'd say, governor, former chair, recent chair of the Democratic National Committee. Tim Kaine versus George Allen in your state. Larry.
Chris, I don't know if I've mentioned the word coattail, but this is a pure coattail race. Chris, think about it. How many voters who vote for President Obama are going to turn around and vote for George Allen? Seriously. I mean, you can probably count them on about 3 or 4 hands, and a lot of them are mistakes. The same is true in reverse. Tim Kaine is not just known here as a former governor. He's known as the former Obama DNC chair. So people who vote for Mitt Romney are very unlikely to turn around and vote for Tim Kaine. I think the winner of the presidential contest in Virginia gets a bonus Senate seat.
Wow. That powerful.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a nationalized race, and I know the Kaine campaign is looking very closely at the Obama campaign's movements. How much are they going to play in Virginia? Does that help them or hurt them come November? If you watch Kaine's campaign, he's been very, very careful on certain issues to distance himself from the president.
I think Kaine's more popular than the president in Virginia, narrowly. So let's go with that. I don't think he needs coattails. Let's go to McCaskill right now. McCaskill, Missouri. What do you think, Sheriff? She's a very familiar face here on our show. We like her. She's been a great open guest to us. She's got a few problems.
I think she's the most endangered Democratic incumbent in the Senate this cycle. I think the president's approval ratings, again, Sabato mentioned coattails. They're not very strong for the president in Missouri, and I think she's going to have a really tough re-election there. She does have a very crowded and negative primary in her favor on the Republican side, though.
Same question, but I also want to hear from you about Jon Tester in Montana, another guy who's got a crew cut, looks like a regular, there he is, looks like a regular guy, works on his tractor on weekends. He's no Northeastern liberal, that's for sure. Your thoughts on him, Larry?
I think Shira's right, by the way, on McCaskill, but I would call Tester the most endangered Democratic incumbent. That's a race that I see President Obama losing maybe 7, 8, 9, even 10 points this time around. That should be enough to elect Congressman Denny Rayburg, the Republican, and defeat Senator Jon Tester.
Okay, let's go finally to the hot race in Florida. Bill Nelson's been around a long time. He may well be facing Connie Mack. It's not sure yet. He's up over Mack by 8 points, 44-36. Again, back to you, Shira. Has he been around too long, Bill Nelson? Does he have a reason to keep getting reelected down? I guess is the tough question.
Well, there's that old saying, would you rather be lucky or good? I think Bill Nelson is very lucky, okay? He's faced these non-challengers now. This could be his second cycle. Republicans have a primary problem here. Connie Mack is not the silver bullet of a candidate they'd hoped he'd be.
His dad had a great record, though, didn't he? His dad was popular.
His dad was popular, but this is many years later, and his son has not, so far, not run a stellar
You're
campaign.
reading on that, Larry, that great old name, Cornelius McGillicuddy, the former, the grandpapa, great-grandfather. This guy was the owner of the A's, the Philadelphia A's. This guy, has he got the magic name or not?
He's got a magic name, but he sure doesn't have a magic campaign. The Republican problem in Florida is really the same as in Missouri. They don't have an obvious candidate. They don't have a clear winner. And unless they get one, you will tip it to the incumbent unless Florida goes heavily for Mitt Romney.
Okay, let me ask you about coattails. It was your theme tonight, Larry, and you're one of the experts in the country, if not the best one. I guess because I come from a state of ticket splitters, Pennsylvania, I'm surprised at the power you've given to the presidential line here.
Chris, we're in a polarized era, increasingly polarized. And because of that, fewer and fewer voters who show up in a presidential election are willing to cross-ticket vote. They just stay in the same column. If they start voting Democratic, they vote Democratic from the White House to the courthouse. The same is true when they start voting Republican. I think it is the defining element of Senate and even many House races this year.
Powerful stuff. Shira, you buy that? It sounds like you do.
Yeah, I do. I agree with that for the most part. I think you can't underestimate at this point what the ad wars are going to look like right now, especially in states like Florida. Florida is going to see campaign ads like it's never seen before, and they get a lot of traffic. That's going to be very negative between the super PACs and the campaigns. Voters are going to be sick and tired and polarized.
Bottom line, are the Democrats going to hold the Senate if the president gets reelected, following your theory of the coattails, Larry?
If the president's reelected by several percentage points, Democrats could end up with either 51-49 or 50-50 with Biden breaking the tie. If the president wins very narrowly, if it's 1% or something, I think the Republicans are likely to take control 51-49, 52-48.
And that's a bad situation, a president without a government, right? A president without a Congress.
Yeah, well, of course, the Senate's gridlocked even when you have 53 Democrats and 47 Republicans. That's what they're good at, talking and gridlocking.
Yeah, but they can still pass a budget under reconciliation and their budget rules. What do you think, Shira?
I think if, let's say, the election was tomorrow, I think Democrats barely hold the Senate at 50-50, assuming Obama does win re-election even by a little bit.
God, it scares me, guys, because here we go back into another 2 years and 4 years of divided government with not a clear mandate on either side. And without a mandate, how do you cut the deal to your side's favor? Again, one last thought from you, Larry. How do you get government?
I think that is what we're headed into, Chris. I think we're going to have gridlock in all probability.
Okay, thank you very much. Larry Sabato from the University of Virginia, the well-known and perhaps best guy out there, and Shira Toeplitz from Roll Call. What a great opportunity to have you on. Up next.